You've got this dream game in your head, one that will revolutionize the industry, or at least one that you're super passionate about. But every time you get to work on it, life gets in the way. You keep telling yourself, maybe tomorrow, but tomorrow keeps turning into next week. So, how can you actually make progress? How can you make time to make games? First up, it's crucial to set realistic goals and break them down. I used to think, okay, let's build a game. I would open Godot and start looking for something to do. As long as I could implement some mechanic or fix a bug, I was happy. The problem with this is that it would often take longer to find something to do than actually doing it. Instead, try aiming for something smaller. For example, build a movement component instead of building a platformer. Smaller goals help you stay motivated, and each one is a step forward. I would also recommend grouping these tasks and sticking to one group. If you're one day working on the enemies, for example, and the next day on the abilities, and the next day you work on the UI, it will be extremely confusing. If instead you focus for 1 month on finishing all the abilities, and then 1 month to finish all the enemies, and then you work on the UI, the part of the code that you're working on will be fresher in your mind, and it will be easier to actually get something done. Obviously, you will have to jump back and forth from time to time, but having that structure in your mind will help a lot. And since we are trying to turn game dev into a habit, the best way to do that is by scheduling dedicated game dev time. If you've ever tried going to the gym or learning a new instrument, you know that if it's not in the schedule, it's way too easy to skip. Personally, I like to work on my games at least 30 minutes after dinner. It's often longer than that, and often I find time during the day to work on my games. But by sticking to that 30-minute period after dinner, I've managed to work on my games every day for months. But if your schedule is too packed to work on game dev every single day, you could try dedicating more time on the weekends or working on your game 3 or 4 days a week. Small progress is still progress, and it's definitely better than none. But of course, we cannot build the next World of Warcraft or the next Zelda Breath of the Wild. So my next tip is to keep it small and focus on what you're actually good at and you actually enjoy. For example, if you're an amazing artist but struggle with the coding aspect of game dev, you can either team up with a developer, or you can design a game that focuses on the art. If you're good at designing puzzles, then maybe you can use assets for other things such as the art. That way you can dedicate your time to what you're actually good at and passionate about. I used to be obsessed with the idea of making a game all by myself. And I know that many other people have the same dream. But that's not necessary, and it's extremely inefficient. So if you're not a good musician, for example, then maybe don't try to compose your first ever song for your game, as it will just decrease the overall quality. And trust me, people are not gonna judge by the effort, they are only gonna judge the result. So you want the result to be the most professional you can get. So discover which part of game dev you're actually passionate about and focus on that. Talking about focus, most of you are between 18 and 34, meaning you're probably addicted to at least one social media. Whether that's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or like me, YouTube. It has to stop. While you're working, turn off notifications, close extra tabs, and set your phone aside. Personally, I really struggle with those extra tabs. Whenever I try to find a tutorial or some information on a specific topic, and I open YouTube, I always end up adding at least 2 or 3 videos to my playlist. The problem is that even though I didn't open the videos and watch them, my brain starts thinking about what those videos may say. So I would recommend installing a minimalist extension to prevent distractions. That way you will only be able to find the videos you're searching for. And even if you need to take a break, I would avoid social media. Go for a short walk, exercise for a bit, read a book, or whatever. But social media is engineered to keep us engaged. So by opening it, you're just risking getting hooked and losing track of time for hours. Another thing I like to do is to make use of micro moments. If I only have 10 minutes, then I will probably not be able to work on my game, but that doesn't mean that I cannot scratch a new idea, design a new character, or something like that. So if you're commuting or if you're waiting for your food to finish cooking, then open your phone or a notebook and start writing anything that comes to your mind. By doing this, you will not only feel those dead moments, but you will also keep your mind connected to your project, so it never feels like you're starting from scratch. That's actually how I designed most of the skills for my game, Cat Survivors. Go play it now and leave a review, positive if possible. It's harder to find motivation after a long break, so by integrating your game into your life, you will keep that passion alive that you felt at the start. Now, we all know that working on your game after your job or university is really difficult. So don't make it even more difficult. Stick to one project at a time. Many people find an idea, start working on it, and then they jump to a second game, while trying to maintain the first one, and so on. Juggling multiple ideas is an amazing way to burn out and not finish any. I'm not saying that you should continue a project that you are no longer passionate about, but you should think about why you were passionate to begin with. After months working on it, it's normal for you to feel exhausted and desperate to move on, but you will feel much more fulfilled and happy if you move on after you finish it than before. Otherwise, you will just set a precedent to quit games, and that will soon become a habit. I know that because I have quit many projects in the past, and breaking that cycle was extremely difficult. So don't even start the cycle. It's also really important to keep track of your little wins and to celebrate them. Sometimes we feel like we're working for weeks or months and we aren't getting anywhere. But the truth is that you're actually making progress. So it's important not only to set realistic goals and break them down, but also to celebrate when you finish working on an important part of your game. Seeing how far you've come is a huge motivator and will help you reinforce the habit. This celebration can be anything you enjoy. Go hiking, play some games, buy some pastries, watch my videos, hit the like button, play my game, fun stuff. Another important thing to remember is that you must connect with other game devs. You can do this by joining online communities, going to events, or participating in game jams. Being part of something is really important. Even though most gamers and game devs are introverts, humans are still social creatures, and feeling like we belong to a group is a great way to find motivation. You will also be able to get feedback from other people who actually understand your struggles, and will find lots of inspiration from other people's work, which will once again keep you motivated. And hey, if we hit more subscribers, I will create a Discord where you can find teams for game jams, accountability partners, and maybe even friends. So hit that subscribe button and follow me on Blue Sky. Also remember, patience is everything. Think of game dev like planting a tree. You won't see it sprout overnight, but every small action, whether it's coding a mechanic, sketching a design, or fixing a bug, is like watering the soil. It's easy to get fixated on the end goal and feel frustrated when it's still so far away. But remember that the magic happens in the process, not just the result. Game dev is full of little moments of joy. Whether it's finally fixing a bug that's been haunting you for months, seeing your character move on the screen for the first time, or watching an idea in your head come to life on the screen, these are the milestones that keep the journey exciting. Even the challenging parts, like wrestling with a stubborn mechanic or rethinking a design, are valuable. They are how you grow as a developer. So instead of rushing to the finish line, take a moment to enjoy the ride. Celebrate the aha moments. Laugh at the ridiculous bugs, and let yourself be proud of the progress that you're making, even if it's not flashy or visible yet. After all, the journey is what makes your product meaningful. Without the ups and downs, it's just another game, but with them, it's your story. And finally, when game dev time is limited, you have to make it count. That's where tools become your secret weapon. Time tracking apps like Toggle can help you figure out when you're the most productive, so you can schedule your game dev sessions around those golden hours. Tools like Trello, Notion, or even a simple to-do list keep your tasks organized and stop you from wasting precious time figuring out what to work on next. And don't forget code repositories like GitHub and GitLab. They are not just for backups. They let you experiment freely without the fear of completely breaking your game. The best thing about these tools is that they help you work smarter, not harder. They cut down on decision fatigue, keep your progress visible, and make it easier to dive back into the project after a busy day. With the right setup, those tiny windows of free time can turn into some of the most productive moments of your week. And now that you know how to make time to make games, you should check this video to learn how to make better games, or this one which YouTube thinks you will like. See ya!